Hey guys, welcome back to Sad Dad. My name's Dave Apcari and I am a comedian out of Fresno, California, and this is a podcast where I sit down with my fellow funny friends, fellow comedians, and we talk about dads. Hi, how are you guys? I missed ya. It's been kind of a crazy week. Oh, somebody's coming out of her bedroom here. You want to say hi? Did you hear me? Did you hear me recording? You gotta talk into this microphone though. Just say hi.
Hi.
You got a big day tomorrow. What's tomorrow?
The last day of school.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't think you would actually hear me doing this. I have to put this episode out tomorrow.
Okay.
You want to leave everybody with a couple of parting thoughts before you go?
What does that mean?
Do you want to just say some things to the people real quick? What are some things you want to say before?
I'm just so excited for tomorrow.
Yeah, because it starts summer break, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to do this summer?
I have no idea.
We'll find some fun things to do.
Okay.
Okay. Tell everybody bye.
Adios.
All right, baby. I didn't think she was going to hear me doing this. All right. Yeah, you heard the lady. Tomorrow's her last day of school. She's pretty excited about that. I'm pretty excited about that for her, too. I remember the last day of school. That was always exciting. She's actually going to a new school next year. She's saying bye to all her old friends. And so that's yeah, she seems pretty upbeat about it, though. I think I'd be a little bit more bummed personally, but she's pretty unflappable. She's a pretty well-adjusted kid. I got very lucky. And, yeah, I felt so dumb recently. Was at a comedy show, one of the other comedians had asked me, he's like, so Father's Day's coming up. I was like, yeah. He's like, well, what are you doing for Sad Dad? I was like, oh, my God. I was like, I didn't even think about that. I should do something fun for Father's Day. I mean, this is a podcast about dads, and that's a holiday about dads. So I kicked around a few ideas. I have one. I've landed on one. I'm pretty excited about. Actually, kind of nervous about. So I'll be releasing that on Father's Day, which actually it's a Sunday. Obviously, how far out are we from that? We got a little bit of time. Yeah, that's next. I think it's next Sunday. It's on the 17th. Ooh, I better Google this. Stand by, guys. I don't know when Father's Day is. Hang on. Maybe this will help you guys out, too. Father's Day, yeah. Father's Day 2018 is, it's June 17th. All right. So I'm going to be releasing this on June 7th. Which gives you exactly 10 days to think about your Father's Day gifts. So, just FYI, I gotta think about what I'm gonna get my dad. Oh, he's so hard to shop for. It's a problem with like middle-aged men, you know. I mean, they can afford to buy all the things that they want. I usually get him meat. I go down to like the butcher shop. And he really likes, we're Armenian, so we love lamb. That's our move. So I get him a couple of really nice cuts of lamb, lamb shanks. He likes that. It's a nice treat. Lamb is usually pretty expensive. So it's kind of weird taking a Sharpie to a package of meat. So he can't see how much I paid for it. Can I get a gift receipt for that steak? So, yeah. So mark your calendars, guys. June 17th. You've got, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, June 7th, you've got 10 days. 10 days, you guys. And if you want to give me a cool Father's Day gift, because you guys are awesome, I do have the Patreon, the Sad Dad Patreon up that helps me pay for things like hosting fees for the podcast. And I've been like moaning about my equipment now for the last few episodes. So help me get some new stuff there. yeah, I've been kind of diversifying my creative portfolio. I've been trying to think a little bit more long term, as far as what I want out of this comedy career. And, there's this inevitable thing I have to do ultimately. I'm going to probably have to move to Southern California at some point. I want to do comedy seriously, and there's a real ceiling to how far you can go in Fresno. I'm real grateful that I started in Fresno because I was able to get a lot of mic time. That's something comedians really struggle with in big scenes like Los Angeles. You're oftentimes fighting over 3 to 4 minute open mic spots, and you're driving all over, and you're trying to hit as many mics as you can. And I'm in a very fortunate position where I've been able to produce a lot of shows, so I get 4 to 5 hours of mic time a month, which is great. That's only doing 6 shows a week. Whereas if I were in LA, I'd have to be doing 30 to 40 shows a week just to, if you do the math on that, if they're all 4-minute spots. I think I did that math. I did that math one time. It was a long time ago, so I might be off on that. But either way, I'm grateful to have started here. But there is an absolute plateau. There is a ceiling, and I kind of want to work past that ceiling. And then I have a hard time reconciling too. Like, we've worked really hard to build this comedy scene up here in Fresno, and we've made a lot of really positive changes. But one of the reasons the scene kind of ebbs and flows like it does is because people move away. Comedians that are good and can run a show and, are solid performers, ultimately they leave, and there's always kind of a vacuum. And that's where the Fresno comedy scene has suffered, is oftentimes when you get somebody who's really passionate about comedy and putting on quality shows and having a healthy scene, that person's ready for the next stage in their career, and so you don't want to get trapped, I don't think. So it's just sort of this weird natural order of things when you're in a scene like Fresno. I deal with that a lot too. If I were to leave, what would happen? Put in a lot of work to make it a fun place to perform comedy for comedians and also for audiences too. And it's like my little baby. Me and my partner Danny Minch have been working real hard on this, and and if I leave, what about Danny? He'll be fine. He's a professional comedian, but that'd be really hard. I'd miss him a lot, and what do we do? So anyway, with the long view though of things, I've been trying to get together a solid writing packet. So been helping my buddy edit some of we co-wrote a script. He did a lot of the work. I'm just editing. I pitched a lot of the premise and did a lot of the world building for the project, but it's in terms of the nitty gritty details, like actually writing the script. He did that, so I'm editing that script now, but I need to do more. You got to have like a spec script and a bunch of other stuff. So I've been trying to get a little bit more serious about my actual writing and that sort of thing, get something together so that when it's time to make that move, I have all the necessary materials to do that. So that's a thing, and then like if I move, like what, I'm a dad, I have a kid, then what, move 3.5 hours away. I guess that's not the worst. It's not all the way across the country or anything. I can still drive up on the weekends. It's just a weird thing I'm dealing with right now. Sorry. A little behind on episodes too. I have I'm giving you guys this one this week. This is a killer show with Matt Cole. I've got another one in the can that'll be coming out next week with Rick Wood, and that one is great too. You're going to enjoy this Matt Cole episode, and this Rick Wood episode coming out are great. One of the things I love about sitting down with a comedian like Matt Cole, him and Nick Petrillo and Andres Taboada, those are some of my favorite episodes because they're comics that I have kind of a long-standing friendship with, and I can really just jump into it with them, and that's a lot of fun. I mean, the chemistry is already there, and this is a really fun episode. Matt is great. We both like to rant. We both go on good rants, and we're pretty good about staying out of the way of each other's rants. And so I had a lot of fun on this recording, so I hope you guys enjoy it. We'll just jump right into it here. Again, this is Matt Cole, great comedian out of the Orange County scene, but he's performed all over the country. Let's do this, guys. I'll catch you on the other side of this thing. Fire, but it's been crapping out on me and it's only coming in mono, and it sucks. And then it gets all weird. So yeah, hi. How did you sleep? I'm recording you right now.
Oh, dude, I slept like a baby. No, dude, I passed out well, man. I needed to snore out, so that was
that was good. You played Dungeons and Dragons with me.
I did play Dungeons and Dragons. I played a Tiefling rogue.
Whose
name was Chonky.
Chunky.
Yeah.
Chunky. Is that really a racial slur?
Chonky, I found it as a racial slur the other day. I thought it just meant like fat honky, like a chunky honky.
Yeah.
But I think it's an actual racial slur for like an Asian person.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought it was just kind of a cute word, and I realized
you were just saying
like chonky.
Really hateful thing.
Yeah, dude, right? Like I know the basic ones you're not supposed to say, but dude, that's like fourth level racism if you know what the fuck that is. I haven't leveled up to that.
Yeah. What did you think? That was not your first D&D session, was it?
No. Well, dude, I haven't played D&D since like the 1990s.
Oh wow.
Like I discovered my dick, and then I stopped playing Dungeons and Dragons.
You son of a bitch. That's hurtful.
Yeah.
I got to
But I played in Chicago, so I used to literally play that stuff in basements.
Oh, wow.
Like during like winters, like when you couldn't go outside and do shit.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
You were just stuck inside and had to entertain yourself.
No, but like I've played like RPG games and like tabletop games where you got to roll dice and stuff like that.
You got the killing blow on the final boss. I
did.
badass.
I got the killing blow on the two big bosses.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you had because we fought that big death slod thing.
Death slog. That's right.
Slod. Yeah, and then you killed that thing too. Good for you, man. You were just murking monsters last night.
I stole all the glory last night from all your buddies.
It's okay.
Bad.
They play all the
glory.
time. They play all the time. That's how we get you hooked. We let you kill a few monsters. I'm kidding. I don't know. That was fun for me. I had a good time.
Yeah, but the move before I killed the monster, the monster brained one of our guys.
Yeah, just totally sucked the brain out of Eric. Yeah, poor Eric. That was rough. So anyway, Matt Cole, you're a comedian.
I'm a comedian. I tell yeah.
How'd you get started in comedy?
I got started about 5 years ago. I don't know. There's a whole story behind it.
Of course there is. That's why I asked.
Long, short, early midlife crisis. I started when I was 33.
Okay. Yeah.
So, usually most people start in their 20s if they want to make some sort of career out of this.
You're right.
A good buddy of mine had passed. I saw the life was short. I was in a garbage job. Mm-hmm. Quit the job I was in. 7 weeks later, got a good job, the one I still have today. My day job.
Yeah, you do have a cool job, yeah.
And then I actually got brought on board. I was originally working for a dive bar review site called American Dive Bars, and that ended up getting bought out by like True TV or something. I think they made a series out of it.
Did you ever meet Guy Fieri?
No.
No,
dude.
Okay. I was asking.
Through that though, sorry, I don't want to keep coughing into the microphone.
Yeah, I mean it's okay.
It's easy to edit it out, man. I got editing software.
We can fix it in post. Yeah, you're
perfect.
fine.
Yeah.
So you're working for the Dive Bar.
Well, yeah,
website.
Dive Bar Guru was one of them, and then there was American Dive Bars, and I literally was going to like bars, like reviewing and stuff, like. But in Southern California, there's a million dive bars to go through.
Yeah.
Whoever owned it, American Dive Bars, which was everything was through, got bought up by True TV. They turned into a series called Best Bars, I think in America or whatever it was.
Oh, wow.
And I started watching that and saw Jay Larson, and I'm like, oh, dude, he's a great comedian. And I went out to meet him, introduce myself, and that's back before I knew the etiquette. So I was trying to run jokes on him. He goes, oh, yeah, you're trying to be funny? You should probably take that to an open mic. And I ended up doing that. So
God bless him. For being patient with you.
Yeah, right.
Now, just this isn't really a comedy-related question. What What makes you like uniquely qualified to review a dive bar? Like, what was?
I
like what? How did you get that job?
I had about 15 years in alcoholism at that point. So no. I bartended forever. I bartended for like 9 years. I bartended in and out of different dive bars.
Sure.
I knew the scene, and then I just know what makes a good dive bar.
Yeah, and that was my next question is like, what is it like? What are the qualifiers for a good?
Well, first off,
dive
you don't
bar?
want anything that's too trendy, too hip, too happening, but you don't want anything that's just too like. I mean, a good dive bar is a place that it's really just your local watering hole, and I think that's what most people don't get about dive bars. It's not a corporate entity. It's not like a yard house where, or like like the big bars of America, places like that. It's literally like a mom and pop shop. It's a place that really it's local regulars that go in there.
Yeah.
It's different happy hour prices.
They usually open pretty early too.
Yeah,
right?
usually jukebox, pool tables. Just to me, like what I consider your true slayer stuff, like Americana. It's just a place where people can be themselves. First Amendment's protected at the places like that. Like that's what was great about bartending. It was comedy, especially.
Yeah, right.
Like when I bartended at Yard House, you couldn't say anything that could possibly upset a customer.
Oh, right.
Versus working at a dive bar, my job meant I was supposed to upset customers. Like I think that's the difference. What it was.
Yeah. There's one around here because when Barbara Gray was up, she was like, "Take me to a dive bar," and I was like, "Okay." And
we did a couple up here.
Yeah. Well, there's one. I think the diviest bar that I could think of at the time.
The Brig.
The Brig.
That was, dude. You guys have the living Joe Dirt was in there when I went there, man.
It was. Yeah, that was. And that's probably. I mean, I think there are divier bars, but it gets like kind of gross after that.
Dude, when I went to the Brig, I was up here with Tim Groeschel last week. We went there because we wanted to go to like some hardened Fresno dive bars. We went there. There was a guy that literally called himself the Joe Dirt of Fresno. He looked just like Joe Dirt.
He's a dude. Yeah, he has that epic mullet.
I think Garth Brooks was in town that weekend, and one lady, all these like it looked like how like senior centers have like buses that take them places. Like a bus pulls up to this place, like 20 people, nobody under the age of 50 gets out, and they're all in there drunk and talking. And this one lady's hit it. I mean, it turns out her son was also there, which made it weird. It was definitely a divey little spot.
At a weird because there's this female bartender there, and she's I don't know, probably like mid-50s to like early 60s.
Yeah, that's the type.
Yeah,
the lifers.
I mean, she's still like got like at least the way she dresses, her body still looks like it's pretty tight, but probably not in a healthy way. Like that slim like figure is probably not maintained. Like by going to the gym or anything like that.
Oh, so she's like meth skinny? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of. And but you could also tell too, like we were talking to her, she's like worked in bars her entire life, and it kind of showed in her face. And I had this weird epiphany because my ex like has always worked in bars, and she really likes working in bars and has no intention of ever like getting any kind of another. I was like, oh my god, this is my ex like in like 40 years, and
dude,
and it was just this really horrifying moment, and made me feel better about breaking up with her.
I saw what your future was. It's not a golden future.
Yeah, it's just rough. I hope she doesn't listen to this. So don't look at me like that.
It's not a problem.
Might edit that part out. Who knows?
No, leave that part in.
Yeah, it's real.
I want to take it as a soundbite and make it.
Yeah. And God, where did we leave? We were talking about
getting into comedy.
Yeah. So you were doing the dive bar thing. Who was it you talked to?
Jay Larson.
Jay Larson.
Yeah, and he said get into open mics, and I'm like, because I'm like, how do you start comedy? And he just kind of gave me a quick rundown. And I went to the first local open mic, still in Orange County. It might die out soon because I think the guy's not going to renew his lease. But it's Max Bloom's 3 Fridays out of the
you
month.
took me there.
Did I take it to Bloom's?
Yeah,
I did take it to Bloom's. Yeah, that was the first one I did.
Yeah.
I was, again, drunk with some buddies. I happened to find out where it was. It's a coffee shop in downtown Fullerton. Stumbled in, went on stage. And I didn't realize at the time, but like, first timers kind of get like the pity, like applause.
Yeah, you get a lot of that.
So, I crushed it. Yeah, I'm gonna be a comedian. You know,
right.
like, oh, this is easy. And then My second time doing it was a couple weeks later, and it was like the day of the Connecticut shootings at Sandy Hook.
Oh, shit.
And I thought I was going to be like that aggressively over the top edgy comedian, and I walked like 24 people.
Nice, dude.
And it was one of those times where I didn't get like the people laughing. Were the comedians still in the room? And they were laughing at how awkward and how bad I was bombing.
Uh-huh.
So I looked. There was like literally like 3 people left. I'm like, well, you guys get it. You know these are good jokes. And they're like, no, they're not.
Yeah, we're just here to laugh at you.
Yeah, that's what they call the phantom laughs. Like they're just laughing at how bad you're doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's funny, man. And now, did you grow up like? Is comedy something you'd always wanted to do, or like?
I've always loved comedy. It wasn't until David Tell's "Skanks for the Memories" album, which I still listen to probably once or twice a year. Just love that much. That I thought it was like, this is something that's really cool and it's something I'd want to do. I just didn't know how to go about it or even have the balls to start it when that came out. So
yeah, for sure. So it was comedy was something you liked, but you never pictured yourself doing.
Oh yeah, because I thought the whole point, and it's grass is always greener. So I was bartending. I got a college degree.
Yeah,
I went after those jobs, and those jobs are fucking miserable, life sucking, horrible cubicle jobs.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
or in my case, as a network admin, I was literally in a windowless room filled with dudes with Asperger's, racking servers at a set 72 degrees.
And you're kind of, like I was down there with you a couple months ago, and it seems like you're kind of the big fish in that scene. The way everybody sort of,
I wouldn't consider myself to be a big fish in the OC scene. I don't
know, man. Like I've been down there, and everybody was congregating around Matt Cole. Like you were the nucleus everywhere we went.
Maybe it's because I've been around long enough where everybody knows my name. Because that's another thing about comedy, especially like in any scene that's not a giant. Well, even giant scenes, you get lost. People come and go all the time, man.
Sure.
So like it's one of those things where like I kind of laugh. Like I'll meet somebody. I'm like, if you're still around in 6 months, I'll remember your name.
Yeah.
And it's not. I'm trying to be a big dude or like I'm too cool for you. It's just like so many people start and stop this.
Yeah.
That it's like at this point it's like it's,
we had this guy in our scene that he was hitting it pretty hard for like a month or two. And then he stopped coming out, and then he started again. But then he was just talking all this like crazy shit about like, I'm gonna get up tonight at the open mic, I'm just fucking murder it, and you guys are gonna see. And we're like, dude, we haven't seen you in 2 months. Like, who are you? And like he kept like messaging Danny and I like to tell us like why he wasn't at the open mic that night. Like he was like checking in like we were his managers or something. We're like, dude, we do not care. Like, come out and perform and have a good time, but like I don't need to know that you got a flat tire today. Like I don't know you, and
I don't need. You save your excuses for your job.
Yeah, right? And he and then he would complain like. We run 4 open mics a week. I think we're doing our fair share. And he was complaining.
You guys run the only open mics in the area.
Yeah,
You're doing more than your share.
Yeah, and he was complaining about how there's no open mic on Thursdays. And like our response was start a fucking Thursday open mic,
dude. That's exactly what your response needs to be.
Yeah.
Well, then start one.
Yeah, exactly. I and then he was
you're not owed anything.
Yeah, and then he was like. When we kept telling him, like, you just need to come out and do it, because he was asking like all sorts of questions. He was asking us for like joke writing advice and like throwing his bits past us, and we're like, how you get better is performing. Like you just got to perform. Like just perform. Just do it. And then he was like, well, there's a Thursday open mic in Bakersfield. Danny and Dave, let's drive down there. And Danny and I were like, absolutely not. We're not driving you down there, because after all the complaining he did about the Thursday open mic, and he finds out there's a Bakersfield one, he's like, well, I don't have enough money for the gas. So like, can you drive me?
Oh, dude, get out of here, man.
He's causing this huge dust up, just on social media and everything, and blowing up Danny and I's phones. And then with that night when he was like peak, we're like, we have an open mic tonight. Wednesday night, just show up and perform, and he didn't show up. It's like, what are you doing? You're crazy, man. What is this? What? Anyway, sorry, that was a weird tangent.
No, dude, I was laughing at it because I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of. You just see so much, man. People just took a video, and I'm like, I just did Reno this last week, and there was a couple good shows, and there's one I was on where I feel like it was more like a booked open mic situation, but the guy had a foul. He basically did his interpretation, like it was almost like performance art, like what the Joker would be as a comedian. And I'm like, you just see some of the weirdest stuff at open mics. Sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you have any like absurdist comedians in your scene, or
we had? Dude, I don't know, man. We had a guy, and I think maybe he was super autistic, but he used to bring Beanie Babies on stage with him.
Yeah.
But then again, I haven't seen that dude in forever, and he was just creepy to chicks. When you say extremist, you mean we had a guy that would. He brought a. Oh, what do you push around? Carts, a shopping cart from like a grocery store.
Oh, that's weird.
And then he had like trash cans and stuff. He would like try to like work with. It was just. That was really weird.
Yeah,
that was a little extremist.
That is pretty weird.
I don't know. The new crew in Orange County, it seems to be just a developing crop of like stand-up comedians.
All your dudes seem super cool and super chill.
There's
a couple killers down there too.
There's definitely some hardcore killers down there. I think most of them are just trying to be funny comedians. We don't have too many of the alt comics right now.
Yeah,
a lot of them kind of left the area. I call them the comedy police, like the over political, you can't say this kind of people. Right. We're down to maybe a small handful of those. So to me right now, it's a great place for comedy to develop because it's people just trying to be very funny on stage.
Yeah, right.
Versus, overly political or the alt stuff that's like, like acting out the glass ceiling for women for 3 minutes. Or, and I'm not going to name the comic who did that on stage once, but to crickets, and then got pissed at that the audience wasn't into it, and then humped the stool for 2 minutes, and they loved that. So like,
wow,
what a Def Jam night, everybody!
That's hilarious. I was stool humping your fallback after the glass ceiling thing.
Is this what you want? I mean,
is this what you? Oh, it's like a hate fuck of the. Dude, it was a hate fuck of the stool.
Hardcore hate fuck of the stool.
That's funny as shit, dude. Holy shit. Yeah, we had a couple of guys that started out. Like we had one dude that would do his entire open mic set like standing on the stool, like and facing away from the audience, and with no microphone. And I'm like, it's real hard to light you, buddy. If you're not
looking for his cast shadow on the wall, everybody has their phones up. How very Maynard of Tool for him.
Very
I won't look.
So.
I'll stand in the back and not face the audience.
The worst part was he actually had some decent material. It was just you couldn't hear it because he was speaking it into the top of the curtain.
That's awkward though.
Yeah, that's weird. So this is a show called Sad Dad. We talk about
Sad Dads.
And it's all with an aim to make me a better dad. Matt Cole, you have a dad.
I have a father.
You do?
Still in my life.
That's great, man.
Just saw him yesterday.
He lives in Reno?
Yeah, they're up in Reno. They get like in like one of those retirement developments. So like a nice house in like a nice area.
Oh, so okay. And
he's gonna retire this year.
No, is that where you're originally from Chicago though?
Born and raised Chicago, suburbs of Chicago, like Hoffman Estates, Algonquin, Schaumburg, that area.
Nice.
And then lived in Tennessee for a while, down outside of Memphis. I went to school in Knoxville, and they had moved out to California. And then about 2 years after I went to start school, I chased them out to California.
Nice.
And I've been in Southern California since. So about 18 years in California.
Wow.
Moved out here in 2000.
So have you been in California longer than you haven't been in California? No.
Well, I'm 38. But
okay. Well,
this state is the longest I've ever lived in a state.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Now, where did your dad grow up?
My dad was born in Iowa.
Oh.
But when he was a kid, a small child, they moved to the Chicagoland area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he just grew up out there?
Grew up there. My father lost his father, my grandfather that I never knew, because when my dad was like 2 or 3, he had a brain tumor.
Oh, shit.
And so he died. And then my grandmother was single for a while. She had 5 kids, single mom of 5 kids in the suburbs.
Where did your dad fall in? Like, was he the oldest?
Oh, dude, he was out of the 5, he was 4th. There was 3 girls, my dad, and then the baby was my other uncle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
was he like the man of the house then?
No,
was he?
He was not. It was more of a matriarch thing. So,
yeah, sure.
well, they're again, my great grandparents would help out and be there. My great grandma Irene, my grandmother, and then his oldest sister, my aunt. Holy shit, Aunt Catherine. No, not Catherine. How do I not know Aunt Carolyn. No, they're all rhyme. It's Carolyn,
that's fun.
Marilyn, and Geraldine.
Wow.
Jerry, yeah. So I'm like, they all rhyme. Like, remember this. So Carolyn, she kind of basically became like de facto mom.
Oh, gotcha.
Kind of like very matriarch of,
Gotcha.
Of the kids, kind of kept them in line. And
I
helped
gotcha.
with that because you gotta have to help in that case.
Was he? So he grew up in Chicago.
Yeah, they grew up in the suburbs. They grew up in
suburbs.
Hoffman Estates.
So he wasn't like joining a gang or anything like that.
Yeah, but dude, my dad is 60 something. So the only gangs back then were like greasers and shit.
The Jets.
Yeah, exactly. They're just snapping down the street.
That'd be kind of fun. Dad doesn't talk about that story.
No, he was most of parochial school, so a lot of Catholic upbringing. He was a part of through school, and then high school is where he met my mom. Mm-hmm. They've been together ever since.
No shit. So they're like high school sweethearts.
High school sweethearts.
Wow, that's pretty magical.
Is it?
I don't know.
They're in love and 40 years and all that shit. Get
That
out of
generation
here.
seemed to be able to do it. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but so I mean, his childhood. I mean, my grandmother ended up remarrying. The one I knew was my grandpa Harry, who's since passed. Mm-hmm. And he was like salt of the earth, man's man. He worked for a natural gas company. He did a lot of stuff, and then like the weekends was always side jobs, going out there and a little extra cash. Sure. So he ended up teaching my dad a lot of cool stuff, like how to be like a man and like how to fix shit. And
Oh, that's cool. And how old was your dad when your step grandpa?
I think my dad was 10 or 11.
Oh, okay, so
somewhere around that.
Still pretty young. And
Yeah, so he
impressionable.
was still a child. I mean, he definitely wasn't a teenager. So
You were a sports guy, right? You played sports.
I played football for the longest. I played football for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 11. But yeah, baseball, I played basketball. I did golf. I was on a golf team.
Was your dad a sports guy too?
My dad loves golf. He'll golf. But growing up, I don't think he was much of a sports guy. Mm-hmm. He played baseball.
Okay.
But that's about. He really, most his high school years, he played the electric organ in a band, and that's why I love my dad. Because like my dad's like just a cheese dick one-liner dad jokes.
Yes.
He goes, the reason I didn't play a piano is because I wanted girls to play with my organ. So it's like,
Jesus. Was their band any good?
Shit. They did cover songs. So I think they might have. I don't know if they won like a local battle of them bands. But he played the electric organ, so they played a lot of CCR. They played Chicago,
Yeah.
which I can't listen to. Now that I know my parents and I know their music style, like I know most of us were conceived to like some Chicago.
Did they play Inagata Davida?
I don't know. I think they played like some Doors or some other stuff. Yeah.
Dude, your dad would probably rip. Ask your dad next time you see him. Like,
Well, my dad's kind of a. Yeah, I guess we'll ask him.
does he still play at all?
No, dude, he hasn't played anything in forever.
And so he gets a new stepdad. He goes to high school, starts playing in a really cool band.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think he was more of, like there's the jocks, and then there's like the dorks, and then there's like that middle crowd that hangs out with the dorks and the
Yeah,
jocks.
yeah.
That's kind of where my dad was.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good place to be. Yeah, I think. Everybody probably liked them.
Yeah, like they would go and like create like their own pep squad at like the local games, and they do like their own cheers and stuff that would get them in trouble sometimes. And it's like, it's just
Can't drop N-bombs in the cheers, guys.
no, it wasn't that kind of stuff. See, we're talking like the 60s where like if you did anything that like subtle nuance or anything like you could get in trouble for it. Like rah rah ras or like rah rah ree, kick him in the knee, rah rah ras, kick him in the other knee. It's
fucking fight dirty bullshit. Yeah.
Well, and just instead of saying ass, they do other things.
Oh, got it.
So a lot of wordplay stuff.
That's fun. 60s seem fun.
Late 60s, early 70s.
What? And so did he? After he graduated high school, did he go to college, or what was he doing then?
Oh, dude. So my dad took a lot of different paths. He married my mom, and like right out of high school, like 71, 72. He worked a lot of different jobs. He started a roofing company with my uncle that went under. I remember their tagline is we'll stand by our work. We just won't stand under it for a roofing company.
That's hilarious.
He had a bunch of other jobs. He got into warehousing and distribution. They had me. I think he was working at a whole bunch of he worked with like Weber Grills and some other places. Originally, he wanted to be a pilot.
Really?
And then he got married, met my mom, got married, and then
He
had
was
kids.
he was Vietnam age, wasn't he?
They were just he was one of the last age groups to be put into the draft. He wasn't drafted into Vietnam.
Ooh,
Yeah.
close. That would have sucked.
Yeah, he was, I think, about a year or two outside of that whole thing. But yeah, when they were in high school and like middle school, Vietnam was very much a thing.
Yeah. That's nuts. And so he wanted to be a pilot, though.
Originally wanted to be a pilot, and then gave up on those dreams to support a family.
Yeah. God bless him.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's one of those things where I think it's one of the reasons I'm kind of out here pursuing what I want to pursue, because I've saw what the guy's put up with so much.
Yeah.
And, sacrificed a lot to provide for a family. And that's one of the reasons where I'm like, well, I'm kind of trying to do what my passion stuff is. Because I saw, like, the man has had a very complete life. He, he's very happy with his wife. He's got a dog. He's got children. He's proud of. And I don't think he traded for anything. But at some point, he has to be in the back of his mind, like, what if I went another direction? Like, what if I pursued the things I wanted to do in life?
Sure, yeah. It's impossible to like not think that way. Especially that age, that he is now. And so, now do you have a sister? Is that right?
That's right. I'm the oldest of three. It's my sister and then my brother.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. I didn't know you had a little brother.
Yeah, he's married. He lives in Utah. They've got 2 fur babies, 2 corgis.
Oh, wow.
He's out there. It's like a weird cult thing. They live in a cul-de-sac. I think half of her family lives a house or 2 down.
Yeah? Is he a cool dude?
Dude, my brother's great.
Is he?
He's one of the funniest dudes I know.
Oh, that's so... I hate that. Like,
no,
the funniest people I know are not doing comedy. That's for sure.
And he's always trying to, like your friends are always like trying to give you bits. He's like, man, I'm trying to work out this diarrhea bit for you. I'm like, no, you know what? It's all good, Bill.
I'm sure there's an open mic.
I'm like, yeah, you try it out. You go around. You go do your show.
That's so funny. Yeah, I had a friend like that when I started doing comedy. He was throwing me bits, and he wanted to be like my ghostwriter. I'm like, I don't want to. I write my own bits. Like, no. Like,
that's nothing I would talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, and it's like. I mean, how little do you think of me and my ability? Like, go get out of here.
He must have seen you at least once or twice to think very little of you.
Yeah, probably. But that's fine. I was brand new. Of course, I was terrible. But
that's what's great about being a brand new comic. You're delusional.
Absolutely.
Like, dude, I got laughs tonight. They're like, I don't know if that was like 2 coughs and a groan. I don't know if that's a
right. I murdered it. Yeah, no. And so okay. Your brother's a cool dude. Your dad. To me, he seems like a super cool dude. Like
my dad is he's the type of sense of humor I have is because of my father. Very sarcastic, dry. He's a little bit more on the drier side.
Sure.
But he's the guy where it's I'd be hanging out with my friends. My dad would pop his head in the room and be guys. Just want to remind you that the penis goes in the vagina, and then he just walk away. like a quick one line or something stupid, and then just like everybody rolling on the floor. But that's I mean,
you drive by comedy.
We also use sense of humor as like a deflection, like comics, like it's art. So I learned how to try to make a joke in a serious situation or like in a sad situation.
Yeah,
because that's the kind of men don't cry kind of a thing.
Right.
But with my dad, it's always sarcasm. It's always funny or joke. It's always like a little ball busting here and there.
Yeah.
So that's where I pulled most of my comedy out of. Like my silliness comes from my mom, but my sense of humor comes from my dad.
And where do you feel like where do you feel like he derived that sense of humor? Do you feel like that was your step grandpa?
Well,
or do you feel like that was just
I think it's just the area we came from. Like that. People try to ask me, like, what was your upbringing like? I'm like, because it was, I was an 80s kid. So, and from Chicago, everything was like every John Hughes movie, right? So, 16 Candles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Ferris Bueller. That was your life.
That's the suburbs I came from, mixed with the movie Gran Torino. Not the super. Well, there was some definitely racist shit going on there. Yeah. Like most of my family from the Midwest still calls Asian people Orientals.
Wow.
They just think that that's how they think it. They're what
Sure.
But it's that the ball breaking, that kind of like you remember like in the barbershop scene it was like, oh, what's up you stupid Pollock? What's up you you greasy Mick, you dumb wop? That kind of stuff was almost a form of endearment. Like I don't know how to make a joke out of it, but I knew my next door neighbor. They called him Pollock Mike the entire time I lived there. Found out he wasn't even Polish. He was just a dumb guy, so he has Pollock Mike. It's just
God, that's man, and so yeah, okay, so that was just your
So-
father. That's where that sense of humor.
yeah. Well,
derives
I
from.
think that's just kind of derivative of that area. It's just kind of like those kind of people. But he didn't. So yeah, I don't know what his group of friends was like. Well, that's usually where your sense of humor starts
Sure.
and stuff like that. But like. My uncle, also a very strong sexual perverse sense of humor we have.
Gotcha.
Like we're always making sexual jokes. My uncle over the top with that a lot, but my dad very, strong sexual dirty jokes is what we like. Nothing X-rated, just your
Sure.
like an
Dick
easy
jokes
an easy R.
Yeah.
I have a PG-13.
And what kind of dad was he to you? I mean, was he real involved?
Oh, super involved. I mean, here's the thing. So when I was a kid, my dad went back to school. We went back to college when my mom had all three of us. So my mom was stay at home. She had a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn. My dad was in school. Oh, wow. It was a terrible time for the both of them.
Wow.
When we started, they had nothing. They were super poor. I remember growing up with like the cereal boxes that were yellow with the black lettering. Everything was generic shit.
Yeah.
No, we had no name brand anything. Everything for me was hand-me-downs or Goodwill. So he was, he would work his job, go to school, and then on the weekends he'd do side jobs. So as a kid, I'd see my dad, but my dad was always working.
Yeah.
Always working.
What was he going to school for?
Business something or other.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He was working in warehouses. He wanted to become a manager at a warehouse, and that's what he ended up doing.
He's basically transitioning from the blue collar to like the white collar.
That's exactly what happened.
Gotcha.
He was the guy on the floor working it. Then he was the guy in the office, kind of telling him what to do.
Gotcha.
And at that point, he was there. I mean, every sport I was involved in, he was there for it. It was for all of us. So whether we were doing t-ball, baseball, football, whatever it was, my mom helped out a lot too.
Sure.
But my dad was always there for games. Like he wasn't like the absentee father. He was there, but he very structured, very big schedule. Always had to go work things. And it was just. It was good to be around, to be honest.
Yeah.
Very structured where I'm not very structured.
Right.
So it was always good to see that kind of
That's
stuff.
great, man. And I mean, wow, that's tough too. Because how old was he when his father passed away?
He was, I think, 3 or 4 years old.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he didn't have an example of a father.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Which is one of the things we talked about later as an adult talking to him. He goes, I didn't have an example. I didn't know how to be a dad to you, so like I did the best I could.
Yeah.
But like that's all your parent, and that's the thing about parents. All you can do is the best you can.
Yeah, right.
You're gonna fuck your kids up a little bit. That's
just
what's
people.
great about life. You don't want a perfect kid. You need a kid to be a little shitty.
Yeah, a little shitty. Then they can figure it out and have their own journey
Yeah,
and become
exactly.
an interesting person in and of themselves. So, well, that's great. And then, so it sounds like, did you have any like, I mean, do you have like any like favorite dad anecdotes? I mean, like, I don't know, like road trips or vacations.
He gave me the
stuff?
talk.
Oh, okay.
And this still gets talked about probably once or twice a year about how it happened. His stepfather, my grandfather, was real bad kidney. I think it was pancreatic cancer or something like that, or really bad cancer. And we were going on like a last fishing trip with him, and they brought me along. So it was my grandfather. I think my uncle was there, my dad was there, and it was like 2 or 3 of my grandfather's old buddies on like an RV from Chicago down to Georgia to go fishing. Big fishing trip. We go down there. They're playing Uno with me the day, and then they're getting drunk and playing pinochle at night. Bunch of beer drinking guys on a fishing trip. Scratching balls.
And I'm sorry if you said it already, but how old were you at the time?
I was 7 or 8 years old. I was 4th or 5th grade.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I was 5th grade because this was when the sex talk happens.
Oh, got it.
So I was getting my own sex talk before they were getting it at school, right?
Got it.
So we're out there fishing, and they're kind of doing stuff, and it's old guy stuff. So they, there's like probably like a Hustler or Penthouse magazine they're tossing around, and I kind of catch a glimpse, and my dad's like, "All right, I have to explain this to him the next day." So what my dad does is we get up early, like 5 a.m. He's, "Oh, we're gonna go fishing. We gotta catch it." And he takes me out to the middle of a lake on a boat. He goes, "Hey, I'll talk to you about sex." Like, there's nowhere to go. I'm in the middle of a fucking lake. he's asked if I had any questions. I asked him some honest questions. Then he told me like how it works. He goes, and that's why he says, you got to put the penis in the vagina. And I was like, no way. And he goes, yeah, your mom says that a lot. It's just, but I was out there, just gave me the sex talk, how babies are made, and like the very Christian, when a man and a woman loves each other, they get together, some things happen, boners get hard,
were they real religious?
Oh yeah, they're still religious. Yeah, they're very Christian. Not Catholic, more like your, non-denominational. I was very religious up until maybe when I moved to California, my godless California.
Yeah,
I got kicked out of a Bible college. Yeah,
what's that story?
I'll get to that. We'll get around to that. So in Tennessee, I graduated in Collierville, Tennessee. It's outside of Memphis. And we had basically anybody from that school, because we're Division 4 and Division 5 is big. So we got like recruited by different schools. You got offered walk-on tryouts. So I went to UT Knoxville that summer to do like a walk-on.
Okay.
And, I basically became a tackling dummy. I made practice squad. So I became a tackling dummy for about 8 weeks until I destroyed my knee. Ugh. And then I didn't have any backup plans. So out there was a Bible college that I knew through the church I was going to. So I ended up applying late, applied late to it, got into it, and I spent about 2 years there. I got in for youth minister preaching, but I ended up doing telecommunications between them and contracted some some of the TCOM classes through UT Knoxville. Mm-hmm. And then it was just one of those situations where it wasn't right for me. I shouldn't have been there to begin with.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a youth minister because I was going to be cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I was in a ska band for a little while.
Were you? What did you play?
I played guitar, dude.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's great. I didn't know that.
All upbeat, three rhythm.
yeah, man. Uh-huh.
That's it. I played with the guitar. I didn't have anything else to it. Our saxophone players sucked. Dude, this is how bad it was. We called ourselves the Knox Tones.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Okay.
And then I ended up just getting enough strikes where they kicked me out. My first big one, my disciplinary, we played paintball in the guy's dorm.
That's kind of fun.
The one that got me into a lot of trouble. I was actually called a debaucherous monster by one of the the heads of the everybody had gone out of town for like a big weekend, so we ended up making prank phone calls to the girls' dorm, but nobody was there, so we ended up leaving all the messages on their answer machines. And it got like bad.
You got you literally recorded evidence of how shitty.
Dude, yeah, so that got us into a lot of trouble. But what they ended up kicking me out for was something called chapel probation, which means 4 times a week I refused to get up early at 6 a.m. to listen to some southern preacher just, fire and brimstone me.
Yeah.
So that's when enough was enough.
That's the indoctrinating bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Like get up and listen, like let us just pound your fucking brain.
They essentially what they did there is they took what I consider, spirituality and they break it down into books and lessons, and it really just kind of kills it.
Yeah, I mean, was this and what kind of was it a non-denominational college or evangelical?
I think they were more associated with like Church of Christ kind of stuff, that denomination.
Yeah. Were they like speaking in tongues and stuff?
No. That's those are like the Episcopalians and the Holy Rollers and those guys.
Yeah, that's too much. Yeah, that's kind of religion I grew up around. And
the big tongues.
Yeah. People getting slain in the spirit.
They were slain in the spirit. Talking to weird. The coolest class I took for them was a class called Our Religious Neighbors, and that's when I got a chance to see religions from all over the place. Because it was in Knoxville, one of the churches we went to was one of those little Appalachian hill people pull out the snakes and pray with the snakes. Got to see that.
Oh, wow.
Got to hang out with the Mennonites, which are just the Amish that drive cars.
Yeah. They're primarily German, right? The Mennonites.
Possibly. I don't know their ethnic backgrounds.
I just about Mennonites recently, and the snake thing. It's just,
it was weird. Most of them had been devenomed or whatever the word is. I don't speak
defanged or whatever.
No, the fangs are still there. They just have the. They just have the. You can still get bit by them. They just weren't poisonous anymore.
Oh wow!
So I don't know if there's like venom glands they take out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were doing that stuff and they're all holding snakes and praying with it. The coolest one is just going to a Black Baptist church, man.
Yeah, man.
Dude, those they are just.
It's fun.
First off, you walk in and it is the bright, like everybody. It looks like a box of Crayola crayons is praising Jesus. There's yellow and purple and red suits going on. It is so much fun.
Yeah.
The energy is amazing. They're happy. Oh, that's a fun church to go to, man.
Dude. Yeah. When I got like ninth grade, my parents switched over from those wacky evangelical things to like Presbyterian, and Presbyterian's my favorite, man. Like, I'm not religious, but I like Presbyterianism is great because it's got a good balance of like, it's not the kooky crazy stuff, but it's also not like the super orthodox stuff. It's like you can still go to church on Sunday and like get that church feeling, but everybody's like super low key about it. The pastor barely wants to be there himself. It's great. It's the best. And so it's great on like Easter or like Christmas when you really want that like fucking church experience. You know, you can still go there and get that, but everybody's just super mellow and on Xanax. It's fantastic. I love Presbyterians. Sorry.
That's all right, man.
I guess I should ask you a question now.
No, we can talk about whatever you want. I like this podcast so far. So yeah, my family's religious.
Yeah, I got you. And so what like we started to talk about your dad going to school. So he ended up working in that warehouse as a manager?
I mean, he had a full-time job. He had a wife, 3 kids, and was going to school at the same time and doing side jobs on the weekend to make a little extra cash because he was poor. So, I mean, that was a very stressful time for my parents.
And then he did eventually graduate? Or?
Oh, yeah. He actually has a master's degree now, too. He went back to, he graduated from that, got into more on the management side, shift lead manager, got into the office where he was, I mean, he still works for them now. He helps with their ILS department. He helps basically with the software that does all the inventory stuff.
Oh, cool.
And like how to pick orders.
He's like a logistics wizard, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, he got a master's degree. He went and got his project manager certification. So he's continued education all the way through.
And he's still working.
This is his last year. He's going to retire soon.
How do you think he's going to take that?
Oh, he's so ready for it.
Is he?
He's been ready for it for like 5 years.
I mean, it seems like there's like 2 types of retirees. There's like the dudes that totally embrace it, like your dad, and then the guys that just don't know how to not work and just have no purpose outside of it.
My dad is still very to-do list oriented.
Is he?
Like, I went there because I'm, I had a crack in my windshield. I needed to get fixed. I needed to replace some stuff. And I went and bought stuff, and I was going to do it later. I come out, my dad's like, and he's just fixing my headlight. I'm like, hey, I need to learn how to be a man too, motherfucker. Let me do this.
That's funny.
Get my hands dirty.
Oh, that's funny. What has he talked about? Like what he wants to do for his retirement, like the Great American Road Trip? Or?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, my dad is very much a homebody too.
Is he?
I'm sure they're going to travel, and they're probably not doing like Europe or anything like that. But like, yeah, they're in a community right now, which is kind of like a retirement community. So they have like their friends, and they're more active now. In the past year and a half they've been living there than their entire time 16, 17 years in California.
Wow.
Like they know all their neighbors. Like we barely knew 2 neighbors that lived with us in California.
Oh, wow.
And it was just cool. That's just how it is down there. Nobody gives a shit about their neighbors.
Sure,
They're in a place now where it's, I think that's one of the things they were missing and why they embraced Reno the way they did is it even though there's a lot of Bay Area people there and there's some redneck people, it does have, at least the community has like that Midwest feel. Like I grew up in a place where you would have neighborhood block parties. Yeah. All the neighbors knew each other. All the kids would play together. They put some picnic tables that close off a cul-de-sac. It would be like a huge potluck bar. Everybody's barbecuing.
Yeah.
Because, it was also one of those places where like they get like a garbage, like a big like plastic garbage thing, fill with ice, put a keg in there and some like leaves around it. So like the keg is camouflaged. The cops went by. They know what's going on.
They get it.
So like, yeah. So like I come from a place where it's a little bit more family centric and it's a little bit more community based.
Right.
Versus like Southern California, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, where I lived in Chino Hills, like one half of the city was Chinese immigrants, the other half was Korean immigrants, and everybody in between the areas, they didn't really like the only person I knew was the dude next door, Kevin, because he made his own moonshine. Like that's the only dude that's the only reason I knew my next door neighbor. It's like, oh, you got free hooch? Let's do that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, cool. I mean, I'm glad that he's like taken to like a duck to water to
they're definitely. Yeah, they're enjoying it. So they're going to find a bunch of stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
trying to stay out.
Any final thoughts on your dad? Any like?
What do you want to know, dude? There's a lot to talk about my dad. We can do hours on this. But
Can we? I mean, we're gonna
final
wrap
thoughts?
it up here.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
We're gonna wrap it up, but like, what's? I mean, yeah. What's the thing that you haven't said yet about your dad that you want to?
I tell my dad I love him.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things. What I haven't, dude. I appreciate the sacrifices. I know that he's made to provide for us.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. I don't know if he knows how grateful we are for that.
Sure.
Or at least that it's recognized.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's one of the things, like, I've seen, he started with nothing. Mm-hmm. Well, not nothing. I mean, he started lower middle class.
Sure.
And now he's like an upper middle class guy.
Yeah.
And it's, he's been able to bring his kids up, provide for us. I mean, with my shitty stuff that's going on, I got a second DUI over a year ago.
Right.
They were able to kick down and help out a little bit financially for me because it cost $22,000.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm a stand-up comic with a day job. I don't have the money.
Yeah, right.
So they were able to, they were able to help for the one of the court order things I had to do, which is really fucking cool, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And they've been able to help out my brother and sister in other ways as well. So I'm very grateful for them. And this is probably why I'll never make it in comedy, because I don't have like that broken home thing.
I think about that a lot. My parents are great too. So
dude, there's dysfunction in every family. Don't get me wrong. My dad used to like hit me and stuff as a kid, but I don't give a fuck about that. That's what you're supposed to do, kids. Mm-hmm. No, but it's like I said, I'm very grateful for what they have given me.
Yeah, yeah,
and stuff like that. I do recognize that,
and it sounds like
just and the fact that he still loves his kids.
That and just the values and everything else. And so I mean, like, I'll talk about it off air, but one of my guests grew up totally. I mean, his dad was around, but he lived in another country, and he was not real involved. But for him, he had to like go through a whole journey just to figure out like what it was to like be a man and like define masculinity. And I mean, it's when you can have a role model, and your dad kind of went through something similar where he had to kind of just figure this shit out, And but I think that's the whole point. For your dad, like your dad is probably satisfied in knowing that you didn't have to do that. Like he was there to be a role model for you, and I think that's great, man. I think good for him reaping the benefits of his work. You're a good dude.
No, thanks, bud.
Yeah, I like you. Yeah. Well, Matt Cole, we did it. We hit it.
That's right. Do you want me to plug anything?
I want you to plug all your things.
All my things. Well, guys, if you like listening to me, check me out all social media at Matt Cole Comedy. You can check out my website, mattcolecomedy.com. I don't know when this is going to drop. I'm going to be recording my first 30-minute comedy special May 31st at the Rec Room in Huntington Beach. If you guys are local to Orange County or Southern California, I also run a killer show called The Clubhouse. It's in Placentia. That is the second Tuesday of every month.
Maybe I'll flip-flop this. Maybe I'll release this episode this week. So
whatever works. Dave's going to be down there in August, whatever the second Tuesday is. The next show we have is the Potaholics Takeover on June 12th. And if you can't come see me, just wherever you're at, come out and support some local comedy, damn it.
Yeah.
You guys are what makes us betters.
Yes.
So please come out and see this.
Absolutely. Matt Cole, thank you so much, man. You were a great guest.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
Had a good time.
Right. Cool. Let me hit the stop button here. And we're back. That was Matt Cole. That was great, right? All right, guys. Follow him on all the social medias. He's a dear friend of mine. He mentioned it. He just recorded his live taping, a 30-minute special that he's self-producing. And I haven't seen any of the footage yet. I saw a lot of the material as he was working on it. It's real funny stuff. And from what I hear, it went really well. So congratulations to you, Matt Cole. I'm real excited to see that special when it comes out, buddy, and I'm going to shamelessly plug it for you when it does. And then next week, we got Rick Wood. Rick Wood is a phenomenal comedian, again, out of the LA scene. We talk about his comedy origins. He didn't start in the LA scene, kind of like me. He started in a smaller scene and kind of worked his way out to L.A. Real interesting guy, real funny guy, and we go on a lot of weird tangents, and then it gets very, very real and very, very intense, and he's real open about a lot of stuff. So really excited to release that episode. And that's it, you guys. I think I have my notes here and everything I wanted to go over with you. Yeah, I think that's it. No long outro. Okay, guys, well, you have a great week. I will catch you next week. And adios.